Hello guys, my name is Nick Murray, and the project that I've chosen to do is do shoes really affect the height of a vertical jump? And when we look at today's day and age, um, young athletes are influenced by what the marketing has done for their favorite shoe company. So for me, growing up, I grew up in the heyday of Michael Jordan, so I was highly influenced by that. So when I played basketball, of course, I wanted to have Jordans. Same thing with Nike. I wanted Charles Barkley shoes. I wanted all this stuff that all my favorite athletes were using. And as we know, Michael Jordan, um, the logo is him jumping and dunking from his 3 point line or free throw line slam dunk contest image there. On top of that, growing up, one of my favorite movies as a little kid was Sandlot, and one of the biggest characters in the show were these PF flyers here, which were told to the kids to make you run faster and jump higher as well. So that was a big thing in for me. So I wanted to run fast, jump high, playing baseball. I wanted PF flyers. So as far as this experiment goes, though, the purpose is to determine how the usage of shoes will affect the vertical jump of a basketball player. Shoes have become an extremely important piece of equipment for athletes in their performance on and off the court. Obviously, certain types of shoes are going to be more beneficial for an athlete than others. For the purpose of this experiment, shoes like sandals, dress shoes, and boots have been excluded from the testing, and the only type of shoe that is going to be used in this experiment will be a dedicated basketball shoe. Think of the shoe as a tool. An NBA player will not arrive on the court wearing Cole Haan dress shoes, just like a business professional would not show up on a conference wearing the latest LeBron James shoe. The question that needs to be answered in this experiment is if an athlete will be able to jump higher using basketball shoes, or if be able to jump higher, if they'll be able to jump higher wearing no shoes whatsoever. So when we're looking at this experiment, I have to choose a hypothesis. So being an athlete myself, I chose the hypothesis that our participants in this experiment, uh, those who are wearing shoes, will end up having a higher vertical jump than those who will be barefoot. Like any well-done experiment, we must have a sample size. Granted, in this experiment, the sample size will only have 3 participants, but all 3 participants are former high school basketball players and are in good physical condition. The vertical height of each participant will be measured using a measuring tape propped up against a wall. We will measure the starting vertical by having the participant stand flat-footed against the wall with their preferred hand stretched above their head as high as they can reach. The baseline will be measured by recording where the tip of their finger hits the measuring tape. They will be instructed to jump as high as they can and then place a piece of duct tape as high up on that wall as they can. The vertical will be measured by subtracting the baseline from the height where that piece of tape is stuck. So, for example, if their baseline height is going to be 90 inches and their jumped height is measured at 118 inches, we would take their measured height of the 118 inches, subtract the 90 inches from that, and we will get 28 inches as their vertical. So each participant, 3 in total, will have a total of 20 measured jumps, 10 with shoes and 10 without shoes. The variable with the largest calculated mean will determine how wearing shoes changes that vertical. I will prepare a t-test to determine if there is a statistical difference between the calculated means, as well as calculating a variance, a standard deviation, and we'll look at and capture the maximum height for each participant and the minimum height for each participant for a barefoot jump and for a basketball shoe jump. So now that we have the idea of how we're capturing the data, I'm just going to kind of leave some of the actual raw data up on the screen here, and I'll go over each of the important portions here. So when we look at participant 1, um, the average vertical for participant 1 for barefoot jump was 25.675 inches. The average vertical for the basketball jump was 23.525 inches. Now let's take a look at the next group, our participant number 2 here. With participant 2, we can see the data here again. It's similar, just a little bit different, obviously, different athlete. So for participant 2, the average vertical for participant 2 on a barefoot jump was 26.525 inches, and the average vertical for the basketball shoe jump was 25.325 inches. We go ahead again and we take a look at participant 3 here. I'll give a little bit of a pause as well, and we take a look at it. When we look at participant 3, the average vertical for a barefoot jump was 27.325 inches, and the average vertical for a basketball shoe jump was 25.675 inches. So when we look at this data here as well too, we're going to be able to see in this Excel spreadsheet, we see the mean, the max, and the minimum. This is going to be on each participant as well. We also see a paired t-test result from the Excel spreadsheet here too. We can also see the difference of the mean between each basketball shoe jump and the barefoot jump. So again, here's the data that we're looking at, how we analyze that data. Again, each participant has the mean height, max height, minimum height, a paired t-test, and a difference between the calculated means. While we're sitting here and we look at it, throughout the testing of the 3 individuals, it was clear that one variable did make a difference in comparison to the other. On average, the difference between the mean of each jump was about 1.67 inches, with the barefoot jumps having a higher overall average. So when we look here at our bar graph, the green is going to represent participant 1, the purple is going to represent participant 2, and the orange will be participant 3. The height is going to be in inches, and we're looking here at the average height of each vertical. So basically we're looking at the mean. So I used Excel to calculate the mean for each individual. And when we look at the data again, it's pretty clear that the barefoot verticals were definitely higher than the shoed verticals here. So with that being said, for me, my hypothesis was wrong. The barefoot jumps were definitely higher. After noticing this, I wanted to look at a little extra research here to see, kind of the differences between each participant and difference between each type of jump. So when we look at the standard deviation of the jumps for shoes, we see a standard deviation of 0.7256. And the average variance of the jumps with shoes was 0.5396 inches. The average standard deviation for the jumps without shoes are going to be 0.8673 inches, and the average variance for jumps without shoes are going to be 0.7942 inches. So what does this data tell us about some of these jumps? To me, this tells me that although the jumps without shoes were overall higher, they were less consistent. So something here within the shoes had caused those jumps to become more consistent. So what was it that was causing that more consistency? I'm not sure, but that is definitely something that I can test in the future to improve this experiment and to get better results and more accurate testing. So on my end, what is something that I could have done to improve this test? For me, I think one of the best things I could have done is to have a more precise measuring system. Now, as nice as, I used what I had. I had a measuring tape, and I had friends, and I had tape to make a marker up on the wall. What the NBA and the NFL uses when they're testing their new prospects to get a gauge on them, they use something called a tandem vertical jump tester. And you see this boy here, he's jumping up in the air, and there's an assortment of horizontal sticks. What he does is he jumps up, slaps the sticks Those sticks will rotate on an axis, and the highest one that is moved will correspond with a certain amount of inches. So that's how they jump. That's how they test it. They do the same way with the baseline. They have their athlete reach up as high as they can to see where it's at, and then from there, they will measure the height based off of where those sticks move from. So in regards to future testing here, what would I like to do to improve this experiment further aside from changing the way I measure a vertical jump? I would like to make it a more practical test. In no real-world situation will an NBA player be barefoot. So what I would end up doing is using the barefoot as the baseline. So I would have my friends run and make a layup or shoot a basket and measure the height of their verticals in those acts, and then use that as a baseline. I would then compare that to them wearing basketball shoes and how that affects their height of their jumps and the success ratio of their baskets made as well. This would be a more real-world example of how a shoe would affect a vertical and the success of that person's shot in and around the game of basketball. If I had to make an off-the-cuff guess as to my future hypothesis, I would say that the vertical will be more greatly affected by the traction or grip gained from that shoe than the weight of that shoe in that act. So yeah, thank you guys. That's my presentation. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week. Thanks a lot.